pre-show before the free show.
What to do, party people? There's a microphone in the way. We don't need that. Get out of the way. Microphone. Go on, get. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pre-show before the free show. I'm Greg. That's Ashley. You were on the road. You went down to Kingsland this past weekend. Correct?
I did.
Went down to the homeland.
Yeah. I got to
the motherland.
Yeah, had some family stuff to take care of, but it worked out well because then I got to actually stay with my family, so it was good. It was good
How's
to get
the
home.
fam?
They're doing well.
Good.
Yeah, it was fun. I actually drove back this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I decided, well, why leave last night when I can just leave this morning? So,
I mean, there's reasons, but I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
I knew going into it that I wasn't leaving till this morning. It wasn't like a last-minute decision.
Yes,
it was
exactly.
very much planned. So I drove down after the show on Friday, got there at like 2 a.m., and then left at 5 a.m. this morning.
Well, and okay, so this is interesting because I know you and I, whenever you were with last year when you were on the desk at Bally, I know you and I talked about how it always takes us like time to like come down off
110%.
that high. And like for me, I'm like I usually on like we get off the air at midnight. I usually can't go to bed until about 2. Like I need that.
Yep.
You're now in the producer chair. Is it a similar?
Oh, it's
feeling?
even more of a high than that, just because you've been so hyper focused for so long that it takes a long time to get done with it. And that was the other thing. I never left after the Bally show because it probably was too late to leave. Anywhere between 11 to midnight, it was like, okay, if I'm going to drive 4 hours, I'm not going to be getting there until 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock a.m. So I never left after the Bally show. But since we get done at 10, I just hightailed it and was like, oh, this is perfect. Because, yeah, it's usually 2 o'clock. So it usually takes me about 4 hours to decompress after that show, 10 to 2. And so I was like, this is perfect. So I was feeling good on the drive. I never got sleepy. My contact folded over at one point.
Oh,
so
no.
that was not good. I had to pull over in a gas station in Heiko and get my contact solution out of my
Who
truck.
among us has not stopped at a gas station in Heiko?
All Wranglers in Heiko. That's everybody's favorite gas station on
I've stopped
281.
I've stopped at that one. Yeah, absolutely. I had a much less exciting weekend. I was talking with Carter.
Braylon.
I was talking with Carter. And I was like, how's your weekend, dude? He's like, was great. Saturday, sat there, watched football all day. It was awesome. And I'm like, man, what a time. Because I did get to watch a little bit of football. I got to watch about an hour of the A&M and Tennessee game while I was assembling dining room furniture.
There we go.
Yes. And then after Hank decided that he was done resting, which is now what we call when he doesn't nap, he came down and he looked at the TV. He's like, what's all this then? Where's Bluey? And so then we got to watch Dog. But then after they went to bed, my wife and I did get to watch the very last few minutes of the Mizzou win over Kentucky.
Nice.
So we did get to watch a little bit of football.
Yeah, we were able to watch a little bit of football Saturday morning, and then that was about it for the weekend that we were really able to do there. Until last night when my dad and I watched Houston versus UT in 1990. He had all of his recordings from the UT games throughout all the years.
Wow.
And he transferred them from VHS over to a DVD. And we're going to the Houston UT game this upcoming weekend, so we decided to go back and watch the run and shoot. My dad was actually at that game, so it was really fun to watch.
Okay, that's a good use of your time. That's good father-daughter bonding time.
Yeah.
I don't have a daughter, and I won't have a daughter, but like.
Well, and I was really getting the twofer there because I was painting a pumpkin with my mom while we were watching the game. So my dad was happy, my mom was happy, and I painted a Charlie Brown pumpkin. So
you really do contain multitudes.
Yep.
You were getting it done. That's true multitasking right there.
Thank you.
That's like.
Did you see my pumpkin?
Like there are two wolves in all of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And both those wolves were out.
Yeah, because you can see it right here.
Yeah,
I'll show it into the
pumpkin.
camera. It's Charlie Brown. I got a rock.
Wow, that's really good.
Thanks. I freehanded it. I was so proud of myself. Yeah, I looked at a picture on Pinterest and then I just did it. And that's the Houston versus UT 1990 football game at what was then Texas Memorial Stadium.
Wow.
in the background.
That's a really impressive pumpkin.
Thank you. I usually cannot do that at all, but I'm getting a lot better with painting. So thanks. I was very proud of it.
Yeah. Okay. Now I always feel all real good about like I built some dining room chairs and a dining room table and stuff like that, and then you're like, I made this awesome pumpkin.
Thanks. I was proud of it.
That you should be. Very cool. Anyway, good weekend at the Theme Expo. Pickle. Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today, a program with microphones and cameras and lights and everything. My name's Greg Tupper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or just the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. They call her the Duchess of the Dorks. She's got a mug that says that. She's Ashley Pickle.
I do. It was a gift. I like my mug.
Mm-hmm.
Howdy, friends.
Today is Monday, October 16th, 2023, 38 days till Thanksgiving. Happy 43rd birthday to Texas Football Today's own Sue Bird.
Oh, nice.
Today's Sue Bird's 43rd birthday. Texas Football Today's own.
I got to meet her in person last year at the Final Four. I got to interview her and Diana Taurasi, which was like the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
She was wearing like super cool kicks, too.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. I wish I were that cool. Anyway, happy birthday to Texas Football Today's own Sue Bird. It's episode 1672. On today's show, folks, big show. We'll go back to front. We're going to unveil, later in the show, we're going to unveil the Texas High School Football State Rankings for Week 9. Some major shakeups, actually. We'll get into that. Then, before that, we are going to, going backwards is tough. We're going to be talking with the head coach of the Clyde Bulldogs, undefeated Clyde.
Yeah.
Danny Dudgeon's going to join us after a big win over Jim Ned, in control of that district and looking like 10-0 is a real possibility. We'll talk with Danny Dudgeon coming up here. But before all that, we're going to get to Monday Morning Fallout, where we overreact to the football weekend. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. Big Jiggly Water Balloons, Nick Morton, Tony Blaylock, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in, fellas.
It'll be a good week. BJWB.
Starting off hot on a Monday morning.
BJWB in the building. You know who else is in the building? Pickle hit the air raid siren.
Oh, Monday that was bad.
Monday morning fallout, just like the graphic says, where we overreact to the football weekend, and per usual, a lot to overreact to. We're going to start with my opening thought. Opening thought, known knowns and known unknowns.
I had to really make sure I spelt all that right.
There's an N on the unknowns.
Gosh, darn it.
See it?
No.
Unknowns.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
You did this on purpose.
This is like a military thing. There's known knowns, which is like things that we know exist and we know what they're comprised of.
Mm-hmm.
There's known unknowns, which is there are things we don't know, but we know we don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
There's unknown knowns, right? I get it, right? And then there's unknown unknowns. Let's talk about known knowns and known unknowns, especially when it comes to the Texas high school football world. Because I think that we've now reached the point, 8 weeks into the season, where there are teams that we know exactly where they stand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And especially after this week, I think there's a number of teams where we know exactly where they stand. Pickle, is there any other doubts that we have about the Columbus Cardinals?
No, absolutely not.
That they're a certified, undisputed state championship caliber team?
110%.
That's a known. We get that. That is solidified now. There's other teams. I think there's a few other teams. I think Stratford, that win over Panhandle, certainly puts them in that mix as well. there's other teams that we haven't talked a ton about. Duncanville, right? Now, next week, they'll take on DeSoto. Maybe we'll learn a little bit more, but I don't think there's any doubt that they're on that short list of Texas high school football contenders. Aledo, in that same way. There are teams that we know what they are. What is interesting to me are the teams that we're still figuring out. Pickle, what do we do with Tyler Chapel Hill?
Man, I don't know, but that was wild.
They lose to Lindale.
Yeah, but we literally were just already looking ahead going, hey, when do they play Kilgore for the district championship? And then...
And by the way...
Hi there, Chris Cochran.
And give a lot of credit to Chris Cochran and that Lindale bunch who needed a big upset to really springboard them. They've been kind of up and down this season, but obviously they came out and did the darn thing. Here's my concern for Chapel Hill. The last time we saw them lose... They were getting bullied up front by Bernie. Isn't that exactly what Lindale does?
No, 110%.
Don't we know now that there is isn't there a blueprint now
to beat
for
them,
Chapel Hill? Pickle, what do we do with Frisco Emerson?
I have no idea.
They give it a fight. They were in it to the end, but they lose to an Argyle team that was on their backup quarterback, by the way.
Yeah. Had fallen out of the rankings, was not looking very impressive.
They were looking like another team.
Ranked.
Now, I think those are the two best teams in the region.
Yes.
And I think we're likely to see it again. But that's a team that we don't necessarily know what to do with now, right? There's a few of those teams around the state that we're just now starting to figure things out about what they are. But I think it's important to always recognize what we don't know. And there's still a handful of teams out there that we're figuring out. And by the way, this week, a number of those teams we're going to get to know about. Honeygrove springs to mind, right? Paradise springs to mind.
They did give up some points.
They did. Well, yeah, it's tough.
Sad.
Franklin, I think, is in that mix this week with Lorena. So we know a lot. We've got 8 weeks worth of data. But there's still things we don't know, and that's what makes this exciting. Game of the week. Last week I went with a college game. I've been on a college game here, and of course you could take Houston versus West Virginia, and you're certainly within your rights.
Go Cougs!
Certainly within your rights. That Thursday night crazy town banana pants game.
That rocked.
But I wanted to go in the high school ranks. How close attention were you paying to China Spring La Vega?
It was one of our spotlight games. We had Drake Toll and Cameron Stewart on at halftime, and it was a blast.
It was unbelievable. Back and forth. China Spring La Vega scores with about 2 minutes left to take the lead. China Spring roars back and scores with about 50 seconds left to take the lead back. La Vega's throwing into the end zone on the final play, and China Spring holds on. Now, I have some questions about the China Spring defense, especially heading into Stephenville this week. But you put it in the left-hand column. They don't ask you how, they ask you how many. And that was a wild affair on Texan Live. China Spring La Vega, my game of the week. Am I overreacting?
Yes.
Is Texas State the second best team in the state? Now.
From playing in their division?
I want to be clear. I want to be very clear about something, okay? Hear me when I say this. Of course, I would pick A&M to beat Texas State.
Yeah.
Of course I would. I'm not saying anything otherwise. But they're now 5-2 after a gutty come-from-behind win over Louisiana Monroe. Hasn't always been pretty.
No.
But something's changing there.
Yep.
Something's changing, and I think right now, I think Texas is the best team in Texas. Is that anyone want to?
No, one, pound for pound, and two, in their respective, weight class. Yes.
After that, it's either Texas State or SMU.
Yep. And SMU just now is starting to show those flashes of what SMU football does. We were sitting there watching that game, Mallory and I were, and she's like, they finally look like an SMU offense because they're letting it air out. They hadn't been doing that. Texas State's been doing what they've been doing. First bowl game right on the precipice.
One more win and they get to a bowl game. Keep it on Texas State. Tell your children about the 5-2 Texas State Bobcats. Dudes Rock. Time for the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Where we honor a dude who rocked. Use the hashtag Dudes Rock to get it in. Let's talk about Jeremy Payne, the 4-pin high-tower running back. I feel like if you wanted to change the name of this segment, you could call it the Large Bills Only segment because what I've been drawn to is guys who just score every time they have the ball. Jeremy Payne had 8 carries for 128 yards and a touchdown. He also had 2 catches for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay? So I'm doing some quick math. So he had 10 touches for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Seems good.
Seems pretty good for Fort Bend Hightower running back Jeremy Payne. This week's hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. It's time for Tepper's Play of the Week. A lot of great plays. You can watch a ton of them on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. But this one caught my eye. It's very rare that the play of the week comes from the locker room. But at Kingwood Park, before their big game this week, they definitely got the play of the week.
Here you go. Let's go. You got it.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, George. I just want to talk about one thing. That's our slogan from the beginning of this year. Has always been to stay relentless. And you guys know that has been on the football field, in the classroom, in our lives, in our relationships, and against our personal evils. And I got to tell you something right now. The last couple months, you guys have inspired me. Because I've been going through my own personal evil that you guys all know, and that's cancer. And you guys have overcome heat. You guys overcome obstacles in everyday life. And I wake up and you motivate me. I got to tell you right now, because you guys are my family, your inspiration has made me stay relentless in my battle. And I got a call last night from my doctor that I've gone 1-0 against cancer. Yeah!
Coach Cooper. Oh, yeah! Today, he showed you how to do it. We stay relentless. Let's go Cooper on 3, 1, 2, 3.
That's Kingwood Park assistant coach Eric Couvert announcing to his team awesome. Before their game on Thursday against Baytown Lee that he was cancer-free. Spectacular stuff. And with all due respect to the Ganders of Baytown Lee, they had no chance. No chance.
Absolutely not.
Kingwood Park wins at 21-20 in a big win for them, by the way. Now 6-2 on the year, playing inspired football, and it's easy to see why. Congratulations to Coach Eric Couvert. That's our play of the week. Now, quick break for a hot take. The Big 12 stinks. I've tried to think it through. I've tried to figure out a way around this particular take. Mm-hmm. Let's rank the Big 12 right now, okay?
Okay.
Texas and OU.
Light years ahead of everybody
within
else.
One score of one another in some order. Right now it has to be OU over Texas, right? Top 2. Who's the third best team?
I don't know.
I think it was Kansas. Then they lost this week to Oklahoma State. Right?
Yeah.
Who is it? The Big 12 is no good this year.
No, they're really not.
Plain and simple. And so here's the standings right now. Do you know who is presently second in the, as far as standings is concerned?
Is it K-State?
Iowa State.
Oh, yeah, because they had the win over Oklahoma State.
Kansas State. Tell me if any of these teams spark joy. Okay? Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Kansas without Jaden Daniels.
West Virginia actually would have been heavy second favorite had it not been for Houston beating them on a Hail Mary in a game that they should have easily won.
TCU, Texas Tech, BYU, Houston,
Tech dropped
Baylor, UCF, Cincinnati. None of them. It's okay to just admit that the league just kind of stinks this year. There's 2 teams that are at least flirting with elite.
Mm-hmm. And then it just drops.
12 others. 12 others? 12 others.
Yeah, I think. Numbers. Who knows at this point?
Who's to say how many teams are in the Big 12?
It ain't 12.
It ain't 12. Anyway, that's my hot take. Now it's time for my of the week. Of the week. Round Rock, Stony Point 7, Cedar Park, Vista Ridge 6. Now here's what's frustrating for me about this. First of all, Vista Ridge was a comfortable favorite according to the computer. They were 26-point favorite to win by 26 points. This is the second time in 3 weeks that they've lost a game like this. Remember, back in week 6, they lost to McNeil 7-6. I'm sorry, I had this wrong. It's 7-0 was the final score. In this one. I sent it to you wrong because I was getting it confused with the other game they lost by giving up 7 points. 7-6 and 7-0, 2 losses within 3 weeks. And here's what's frustrating, okay? I'm a guy who's trying to plot out what District 25 6A looks like, specifically as it vis-a-vis as it matters to Vandergrift.
Mm-hmm.
And Westwood goes and beats McNeil. And that's like, okay, clarity. This thing's going to start settling in. We're going to have a nice infrastructure. And then this. And it, like, invites in all these possibilities of ties. Round Rock, Stony Point 7, Cedar Park, Vista Ridge 0.
That sounds like your G of the week and not your H of the week.
Crazy. It's now time for the wild stat of the week. And we need to talk about the Dalhart Wolves. Okay. Let me tell you about Dalhart. Dalhart took on Shallowater this week.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the fourth quarter.
That's a far drive.
It is. Dalhart clinging to a 21-14 lead. Okay? 21-14 lead. And first play of the fourth quarter, Shallowater's driving. They throw an interception. Clayton Vincent, or Carnesca, who is this? Colton Carnesca, who also had the go-ahead touchdown catch, picks it off in the end zone. Runs it out to the 5-yard line. Okay?
Okay.
11:52 left in the game. They're up 21-14. Dalhart goes on a 23-play,
Jesus,
90-yard, 11-minute, 52-second drive and kneels it out on the 5.
Oh, my God, that rules.
A 23-play, 11-minute, 52, 90-yard drive to then kneel it on the 5. A legendary drive from Dalhart.
Do you know how loud the Shallowater parents must have been yelling at the defense to just do anything?
Apparently they this is our friends Press Pass Sports, presspass.news. Apparently they ran it down to like the 1 second on the clock, play clock, took it and just kept converting. 23 plays to kill an entire quarter.
11:52
and win the game.
Literally an entire quarter.
Told you. That's your wild stat of the week.
That rules.
Steph called me with that stat. He goes, dude, did you hear about Dalhart? I'm like, no, of course I didn't hear about Dalhart. And then he told me, and I ran in here and I said, we got to change the wild stat of the week.
Also, Step calling and that not giving you a high, just did you hear about Dalhart is just...
Speaking of Matt Stepp, it's what you've all been waiting for. It's time for this week's Matt Stepp. He got that dog in him, player of the week.
And now, the Matt Stepp. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
Hey y'all, it's Matt Stepp with Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Here at San Antonio International Airport, getting ready to head back to the Metroplex after a great week of high school football. But before I do that, I gotta bring you the winner of this week's Matt Stepp. He got that dog in him award winner. And the winner of this week's Matt Stepp, he got that dog in him award winner, is none other than Lake Belton wide receiver Micah Hudson. The 5-star receiver committed to Texas Tech, hauled in 2 first-half touchdown catches and had a punt return inside the red zone to set up another touchdown as Lake Belton rolled past Granbury 45-7. Congrats, Micah. You, sir, have got that dog in you.
This has been the Matt Stepp He Got That Dog in Him Player of the Week.
Congratulations to Micah Hudson.
Y'all have got to be stopped.
A recognition that I'm sure he will treasure forever.
Yeah, forget being a 5-star. Forget being one of the most highly sought-after recruits. The fact that he's the Matt Stepp, he's got that dog in him player of the week winner has to be amongst the top.
You have my attention, Van. The Van Vandals take down Center 56-36 in, by Center standards, a low-scoring affair. Holding Center to 36 points is, I believe, their low of the season. It is, in fact. I can confirm that. No, they beat Dangerfield 28-21, although I think that game might have been shortened due to weather. They hold them down to a 56-36 win, and that offense is rolling. And now, Here's why they have my attention. Open date at Carthage.
Ooh.
Open date this week at Carthage, week 10.
Well, having an open date before Carthage is always ideal.
Watch this space. By the way, Carthage got center this week. Get excited for Brock versus Paradise. Interesting matchup here. This feels like a carbon copy of what it was last year. Paradise, undefeated, feeling good, taking on a Brock team that took a bunch of losses in non-district but has been pummeling teams since then. It was a close game last year. It'll be a state-ranked game. Spoiler alert for the rankings later. State-ranked game this week. Keep an eye on that one. Final thought, it's scoreboard watching season. We mentioned this earlier when we talked about our hunt of the week. But we're now at the point, especially in 6A, where teams are going to be keeping an eye on the other teams because it's going to determine who goes where. Specifically, North Crowley, Katy, Vandegrift, South Lake. South Lake Carroll's going to go to DeSoto. Technically, could move. There's a number of big time programs whose fates are going to be determined not just on what they do, but on who finishes fourth in that district. So with these final 3 weeks of the regular season, we're officially in scoreboard watching mode, and coaches are going to be on the Football Friday app trying to figure out exactly which bracket they're going to be playing in. That is Monday Morning Fallout. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll talk with the head coach of the undefeated Clyde Bulldogs, Coach Danny Dudgeon. You know who else is undefeated, Pickle? Do you know this? These goods and services.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
I feel like bustin' loose, bustin' loose, come on. Get on up. Oh yeah, get on up. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bustin' loose, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's go out west to talk with the head coach of the undefeated Clyde Bulldogs. We're joined by Coach Danny Dudgeon. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing excellent. How are things out there in beautiful Clyde, Texas?
Man, they're great. Another beautiful day out here in Central West Texas.
Well, you guys are the talk of the town right now at 7-0, coming off of a really impressive pair of victories over previously unbeaten Vernon and then taking down perennial power Jim Ned. Going back to the preseason, did you have a feeling, an inkling that this particular team could be doing something special like this?
Yeah, we thought going into the year that we had a chance. We knew defensively we were going to have to find some pieces. And early in the year, you can see us kind of trying to work through that. But I think we've kind of found the right mixture of our kids. But anytime you've got as many seniors as we do, and we've got as many kids that are multi-year starters for us, it always feels like you've got a shot to have a successful run with that kind of group.
You mentioned specifically kind of in the early goings. This is a team that, you guys take on a good Cisco team, Eastland, these powers. Was there a moment in maybe the non-district play where you looked up and you said, okay, we might have a little something cooking here?
Yeah, I think the fully defining moment was Sweetwater.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we were on the right track, and then for us to go into Sweetwater and play the way we did, we really felt like that we had a great shot to really improve and prove that we're capable of what we thought we were capable of.
Talking with Danny Dudgeon, the head coach of the Clyde Bulldogs here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Coach, you took over this program back in 2021, and these past 2 years have not been as good as these two, or this one, 1-9 and then 4-6. But obviously something has changed here. What for you is the biggest difference between maybe that program you took over, coming over from the Abilene Cooper staff, to the program that you're coaching right now?
Yeah, I mean, we knew coming in, we were in a rebuild, and so when you get into that, you have to establish who your identity is, and it takes time. I tell people all the time that's not an overnight fix, and so what you're seeing now is, we want to be defined for a physical football team. We want to be tough-nosed, and we've worked really hard for 2 years. We were on the verge of it last year when just the injury bug unfortunately completely derailed us, but now that we are in year 3, and we've got more than just a few kids that understand what the expectation is, I think that's the biggest difference. And obviously the leadership inside this group is huge. We've got 20 seniors of a 30-man roster, and those guys know exactly what's expected of them day in, day out. I tell people all the time the best thing they do is they come to work every day. And that's something that age helps you with more than anything. And so those are the two biggest changes that we've seen over the 3 years that I've been here.
One of those seniors that I know, it's hard not to notice what your QB1 is doing in Blake Carr. This guy, I mean, 1,500-yard passer, almost a 1,200-yard rusher. He's already got 35 touchdowns total on the year. The numbers are shocking, and obviously you guys have been rolling offensively. But as the guy who gets to know him and watch him in practice and all that, what is it about Blake Carr that makes him special?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that nobody sees, I mean, obviously the stats talk for themselves, but the kind of leader he is, everybody believes that he's going to be able to break the game wide open when the ball's in his hands because the amount of trust his teammates have in him. And that's earned. He does that because he's always here. He's always done what's asked of him. He's very, very high IQ football kid. The other thing that he does for us, a lot of people don't know, is as we've kind of gotten rolling, he's our safety. And he on top of the kind of offensive production, he had 10 tackles and 2 tackles for losses against Net. So he's affecting what we do as a program day in, day out. And we knew he had that ability. He's a very talented young man, and he proves that day in, day out for us.
Talking with Danny Dudgeon of the Clyde Bulldogs here on Texas Football Today. Coach, your first 2 years at the helm, you guys gave up about 33 points a game on average. This year, you've cut that down to 23 points a game, and against some really high-powered offenses itself, and including last week holding a good Jim Ned team to just 14. What has you most excited about this defense right now?
I think the fact that we've been able, the last 2 years, we haven't been able to defend the run very well. And so with some young kids kind of stepping up into the fray, we thought we would have a chance to. And they've kind of proven over the last 3 weeks that we're going to be able to take care of the run game and make people have to become one-dimensional. And that's really exciting. And it's coming from a multitude of different kids. We don't have one kid with bukus of tackles and the others don't have many. They're all pitching in and doing their part. We're not the biggest group, but we are super active, and they've kind of bought into that belief of we can all do this together, and they just fight every chance they get. They're the group that they're going to fight until their last breath, and I think that's the thing that makes me most proud is they've kind of figured out who their identity is and kind of learned to lean into it to make themselves as competitive as they've become.
The win over Jim Ned really put you guys in the driver's seat there in District 3A Division 1, but there's still work to do. You guys go on the road to take on a Bowie team that's desperate and would love nothing more than to play spoiler before you're at Iowa Park, and then you close out things with Breckenridge. Coming into this week, knowing full well what a big, emotional, and I imagine really exciting victory was over Jim Ned on Friday, what's your message to your guys this week going up against teams that, maybe they're not going to have the big flashy headlines like against Jim Ned, but obviously are still going to be critical for you guys going forward?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we talked on Saturday with our kids, and then again today we've already had our athletic period. It's about us. And that's kind of been our cry all year is whether you believe us or you don't believe us, it's ultimately about us, and we've got to go get us better every chance that we get. And so, we tell them all the time, we don't worry about who the opponent is. We don't worry about what color they wear or what their mascot is. We worry, can Clyde get better today than we were the day before? And our kids kind of have embraced that approach, and that's got to be our approach every week. Irregardless of who you play, everybody's capable of beating anybody at any moment. And so we've got to make the main thing, and that's us getting better every week. And so that's kind of been our focus. That's our rally cry this week, and I think our kids have bought into that very well this year.
He's Danny Dudgeon. He's the head coach of the Talk of Callahan County, the Clyde Bulldogs, 7-0. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on all your success, and best of luck this week.
Thank you, Greg. Y'all take care.
Absolutely. There he goes, Danny Dudgeon, head coach of the Clyde Bulldogs. Join us here at Texas Football Today. That's the real rub there was these past 2 weeks. Like, they go through non-district 5-0, and we're like, cool. Hey, nice win over, he mentioned that win over Sweetwater on the road at the Mustang Bowl. Very impressive. They drilled Sweetwater. That was a really impressive win. They started off the year with a nice win over Cisco, 5-0. All right. Get into district play, Vernon and Jim Ned. Let's see it then. And
guess what? We saw it.
double-digit, multiple touchdown wins over both those teams. Now, they're going to be big favorites over Bowie. At Iowa Park, week 10 is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's probably going to be now. Who's Iowa Park got this week? Iowa Park's got Vernon. So we'll see. It may be for the district championship, but they can certainly lock up the district championship if they win these next two games. But a really remarkable run here for Clyde, and especially considering, we mentioned it. He took over after 2020, and they go 1-9 in 2021, and it was kind of an ugly 1-9 that couldn't stop anybody. And since then, the trajectory has been very clear, just pointing up. And right now, a lot to be excited about for the Clyde Bulldogs. That Blake Carr, if you haven't seen him, he's a game breaker, man. He's a lot of fun to watch. Keep an eye on Clyde as they are undefeated. We appreciate Coach Danny Dudgeon's time. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, the explosive unveiling of the Week 9 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press State High School Football Rankings. But first, let's find out who's up for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football, in conjunction with the TaxAct Texas Bowl, is proud to give the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award, presented by Kroger, to the most deserving high schooler in the state of Texas. Each week, TexasFootball.com announces 10 candidates for that week's award based on the previous week's on-field performance. Congratulations to this week's 10 nominees. Fans, be sure to vote for the player you believe should be the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week at TexasFootball.com. Voting closes Friday at noon, with the winner announced shortly after on TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Kroger and the TaxAct Texas Bowl for their continued support of Texas high school football and the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award.
One last thing to do today, Pickle, and that is to roll out the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press Texas High School Football Rankings. Of course, Dave Campbell's Texas Football has put out the state's most respected Texas High School Football Rankings for decades and has been the official rankings provider of the Associated Press since 2019. These are the official Texas High School Football Rankings of record. The ones that are going to show up in your newspaper, the ones that people are going to use on all the graphics and stuff like that. This is where you find it. You can find it at TexasFootball.com/rankings. Let's start in Class 6A. A little bit of movement here. A couple of changes around there, especially on the right side. Top 12 did not get touched. Duncanville, Galena Park, North Shore, DeSoto, Westlake, and Vandergrift still your top 5. But on the right side, we got a little bit of a makeover. Number 13, McKinney crashes out with their loss to Allen. They are out of the rankings, as is number 22, Dripping Springs. They drop out with their loss to Austin Westlake. And as a result, everybody nudges up a couple of spots. Byron Nelson up to 13, Dickinson up to 15, Pflugerville Weiss up to 17, Rockwall up to 19, Prosper and Coppell at 20 and 21 respectively. New to the rankings, I should say returning to the rankings. Number 24, Fort Bend Ridgepoint. Big winners over Fort Bend Clements to move to 6 and 2. And number 25, the Woodlands back into the rankings after drilling the Woodlands College Park. They are now 6 and 2 on the year. To 5A we go. 5A Division 1, nothing to see here, folks. Everyone's a winner. Everyone won pretty convincingly, with the exception of Forney, who got a real scare from Lancaster, 21-20 in overtime, but they get the win. They remain 6 and 1 on the year. Top 5 remains unchanged in 5A Division 1. Aledo, Longview, Mansfield, Timberview, Port Arthur Memorial, and Fulshear. 5A Division 2 did have a big shakeup. Specifically, the number 2 team in the state, Frisco Emerson, drops out of the rankings. They drop out of the rankings with their loss to Argyle, and as a result, everybody moves up a spot. Montgomery Lake Creek, now your number 2 team in the state. Midlothian Heritage got a scare from Ennis in overtime, but got the win. They're up to number 3. Texas High up to number 4, and Port Neches Groves up to number 5. Argyle, their big win over Frisco Emerson, gives them a nudge up to number 9, and back into the rankings, the Colleyville Heritage Panthers, number 10, after beating Fort Worth Arlington Heights. They are now 6 and 1 on the year and ranked number 10. To 4A we go, and 4A got a makeover. 4A Division 1, Tyler Chapel Hill loses to Lindale. The number 1 team goes down. We bumped them from 1 to 10 with the loss to an unranked Lindale squad. Still keep them in the rankings, but as a result, everyone just moves up. Your new number 1 team in 4A Division 1, the Bernie Greyhounds. They're at 6 and 1, winners over San Antonio Memorial. Salina up to number 2. Anna back up to number 3. China Spring and Kilgore round out the top 5. Kilgore and Chapel Hill here in a couple weeks suddenly got very, very interesting. And by the way, how about Stephenville and China Spring this week? Big, big, big game. 4A Division 2. Much less interesting. The number 10 team in the state, the Center Rough Riders, drop out because they lost to Van, and guess who took their spot? The Van Vandals. They're at number 10. They're now ranked there at 7 and 1 with a big win over Center. Top 5 remains unchanged. Carthage, Silsbee, Pleasant Grove, Cuero, and Wimberley. Keep an eye on Silsbee and Hampshire Finette this week. Now, to 3A we go. 3A Division 1, where there's a little bit of movement here. Winsboro gets a big win over Pottsboro. That nudges them up a spot there to number. Winsboro moves up to number 4. Hitchcock's lost to Columbus. It was tough to know what to do with that because we do think Columbus is pretty good, but it was pretty resounding and it was at home. We dropped them from number 4 to number 9. As a result, Winsboro, Paradise, Edna, Brock, and Bushland all nudge up a couple of spots. And new to the rankings, tell your friends about the state-ranked Clyde Bulldogs. Number 10, winners over Jim Ned. They move to 7-0 on the year and now state-ranked. The Clyde Bulldogs crack the Dave Campbell's Texas football rankings in 3A Division 1. Over in 3A Division 2, quite literally nothing to see here. Go back. Everyone was a winner. Top 5 remains unchanged. Gunner, Canadian, Tidehaven, Hooks, and Newton. Hooks was idle this week, but everyone was a winner or idle. Now to 2A Pickle. Only one change in 2A Division 1. Stratford's win over Panhandle is wildly impressive. Moves them to 7-1 or 7-0 on the year. That is good enough for us to leapfrog them over Cooper for the number 4 spot. Cooper now at number 5. They've got a big game this week against Honeygrove. They beat Honeygrove. They may grab that number 4 spot back. But for now, Stratford and Cooper swap places. Stratford number 4, Cooper number 5. Your top 3 remains unchanged. Timpson, Refugio, and Toller. 2A Division 2, nothing to see here. Everyone was a winner or idle in the case of Mart. Top 5 remains unchanged. Albany, Mart, Newhome, Chilton, and Collinsville, your top 5 in 2A Division 2. To 6-man football we go. Nothing to see here in 1A Division 1. This was a big week of open dates for 6-man football. A ton of bye weeks. Knox City, Abbott, Whiteface, Miami, and Rankin all on open dates, but everyone else was a winner. Your top 5 in 1A Division 1 remains the same. Gordon, Knox City, Abbott, Westbrook, and Jonesboro, your top 5. 1A Division II, Rochelle loses to Richland Springs, and as a result, they drop out of the rankings at number 10 and into the rankings. Number 10, the Kroll Wildcats. Coach Mitchell Parsley's Wildcats are now 7-1 on the year. Big winners over Chillicothe. I believe their one loss in the year is to Knox City, which has aged particularly well. But they are the newest team in the 1A Division II top 10. Your top 5 remains unchanged. Benjamin, Oglesby, Jayton, Richland Springs, and Klondike. To the private school ranks we go. And once again, the private school 11-man ranks went crazy. Houston St. John's loses after beating Bel Air Episcopal. It's all very crazy. As a result, Austin Regions moves up to number 3. Argyle Liberty Christian now up to number 4 with their win over Midland Christian. Very impressive from Argyle Liberty Christian. And back into the rankings after a 1-week hiatus, Bel Air Episcopal, they get right with a win over Dallas St. Mark's to leapfrog back into the rankings. Top 2 at Houston St. Thomas and Dallas Christian. Both winners both stay the same. And the private school 6-man ranks, Pasadena, we had a number 1 versus number 5. Pasadena First Baptist beat East Texas Homeschool. That drops East Texas Homeschool out of the rankings and back into the rankings. Houston Emory Weiner back into the rankings. They were idle this week, but at 5-1, good enough to grab that number 5 spot. So your top 5 in private school 6-man ranks, Pasadena First Baptist, Fort Worth Covenant Classical, Conroe Covenant, Bastrop Tribe Consolidated, and now Houston Emory Weiner. So there it is, your Week 9 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press Texas High School Football Rankings. You can find all the rankings at texasfootball.com/rankings. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts?
In case you missed it last week, our college football staff put out the mid-season All-Texas College team. So if you haven't taken a chance to go look at that because it's very interesting to see midway through the year where we think that who would be on the All-Texas College team.
Yes, so go check that out there at texasfootball.com, the All-Texas College team, including the mid-season offensive and defensive MVPs. You can go find that at texasfootball.com. A lot of good stuff on texasfootball.com. Go visit it. It's a website. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Danny Dudgeon of the now state-ranked Clyde Bulldogs for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.